Sorry, guys. Sometimes I get a little passionate. I don't get a chance to, I'm all about that Black Power speech, you guys. I'm all about that Black empowerment stuff because, again, I seen so much, and I know we just need to just get together. What did Uncle Stu say? He said we got to love each other better. A lot of these problems are coming from our own homes. We got to just fix what we got first, right? It's hard to fix everything else, you guys, when we don't have things in order ourselves. So hard. Stop blaming the melanated people for being oppressed. We're not oppressed, Lioness. We're not oppressed. Show me where we're oppressed. The fact that we're on this YouTube talking about it. There's anybody in the chat. There's 69 people in here right now. Those who are Black or white. Are Black people oppressed today? This is February 18th, 2022. Please put a 1 in the chat if we are oppressed, and put a 2 in the chat if we are not oppressed. 1s and 2s. This is the problem, right? If we are oppressed, please let me know. We're not oppressed. Oppressed how? If we are still oppressed, you guys, we need to get on the boat and get the hell up out of here. If we are still oppressed, why are you here? You guys, what's going on? What's going on, you guys? Why do we think we're still oppressed? Oppressed from what? We're not victims, you guys. I just told you we spent $1.6 trillion last year. Oppressed people don't have $1.6 trillion to spend. Drop the link. Any moderator, drop the link. Anybody who thinks we're oppressed, please come up and tell me. Put your words where your mouth is. If we are oppressed people, please let me hear about it. Come and explain it to me. She said many feel disenfranchised. That's your personal problem. You're only disenfranchised. You feel that way because we don't operate as a group. Black people, contrary to your beliefs, you guys, we're doing really good. You guys, do your research. Anybody, if you want to come up, I want to hear from people who believe that we are oppressed. We got a first caller coming in. How you doing, sir?
How's it going?
Pretty good, brother. Pretty good. What's your thoughts? Are we oppressed? Or are we not oppressed?
We are still an oppressed people.
Why do you say that?
Well, do we have equal rights under the law in this country?
Yes.
We do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why are we the largest population in prison?
We're not the largest population in prison.
I'm talking about, considering our population in this country, right?
Uh-huh.
So compared to the percentage that we are 13% of the population in this country. Okay. Compared to that population, a bigger population of our people are in prison compared to every other nationality. Is that not right?
So what you're talking about is that we are disproportionately in prison in comparison to our white counterparts.
To every other nationality, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, wait. Let's do one thing. Let's do one piece at a time so we can touch on everything.
Okay.
Let's touch on everything, but let's do one at a time.
Okay.
You're saying because we're a smaller percentage of the population, there's too many of us in prison, correct?
I'm saying that there's far more of us in prison than any other nationality in this country.
Right. And you're saying that's because we're oppressed?
That is part of it.
How do people end up in prison?
What exactly do you mean?
I mean, how do you get to prison? It's like, how do you get to prison?
You get to prison a multitude of ways.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're
What
asking.
angle? You have to on average, you got to do something to get into prison.
Do you?
Yeah. 99% of the time. So the problem is, I think the problem with this argument, right, that some people like to make is that there's an assumption that the overwhelming majority of people in prison are there for no reason, right? That they're there because they didn't do anything.
No. That's not the assumption.
What's the assumption?
I don't think people assume that majority of the people that's in prison don't deserve to be in prison.
Okay.
And I don't assume that. I don't believe that. But I do believe that we are targeted in order to be placed into prison. We are targeted. We are a targeted people. You talk about the crime bill that's coming down. There's never been no crime bill against white people. There hasn't been a war against drugs against white people, even though they are suffering opioid issue. Where's the war on drugs now?
No, the war on drugs isn't there. I'm talking about right now.
There isn't going to be one.
But the people, what's funny about that, what you said though, what's funny about that is, you're saying about the war on drugs, you're talking about the crime bill. Those things were initiated by the Democratic Party, right?
But we're not talking about parties right now. We're talking about.
But correct. And we're talking about today. I'm asking you, where's the oppression at today? When you say oppressed, what does that mean to you? What does oppression mean to you? What does it mean to you?
It means that we are not afforded equal rights and opportunities in this country compared to our counterparts. Whites, Asians, Hispanics, we're not afforded the same rights and opportunities. To me, that means that we are still an oppressed people. I'm not saying that we're slave. I'm not saying that we're still in chains.
Okay.
That we're still slaves, that we have no rights.
Okay.
But we're not afforded the same, the government, the law does not see Black people the same way that they see others, which is why, as you say, well, they're afraid, the cops are afraid. Why are we the only ones that they're really afraid of?
That's a good question. I think, in my personal opinion, it has a lot to do with how we market ourselves as Black people in this country. It's our image, right? Our image has been hijacked. It's been tainted, right?
Yeah, but
so
does not every other nationality copy what it is that we do?
Yeah, but you know what I noticed though about other nationalities and other ethnic groups? They're able to separate the entertainment from reality, right? That's a big part of it. Just like I can listen to music, I can watch certain movies. I don't turn around and decide I want to go rob a bank. I don't turn around and decide I want to take up a gun and try to play gang member, right?
Okay.
What do you do? What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a forklift operator.
All right. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like white people are oppressing the decisions that you make in life to be where you are today, success-wise? I can tell you're a successful man. You make good money.
No, I don't feel that way.
So pause. Let me ask you this then. If you don't feel that way, what makes you any different than anybody else? Any other Black person in our community?
Because my personal situation isn't the same as every other Black person's situation. I didn't have to face some of the same difficulties that other people had to endure. I recognize that.
And what is because, and the reason why I ask you this, and this is us just having honest dialogue. The reason why I ask you that is because when I patrolled and policed our community, I would come across a lot of young black men and young black women all the time, and they would constantly tell me that their situation and circumstance that they're in, negative circumstance that they're in. The issue is they are blaming and saying that white people were responsible for their current conditions. And then when you break down how they got there, a white person had nothing to do with it. So again, I say we have to be mindful when we start saying that white people are oppressing us or we're being oppressed by white people. So there's a difference between where is the culpability, where is the self-agency on our situations that we're in, and how much of it is on one side and how much it is on this side. What I'm saying is, what is the real issue? Because if we're being oppressed, then that means it's everybody because the color of our skin. But you just said yourself that you never felt that, right? You never felt like a white person was responsible for your current situation. But again, it can't be selective. Systemic racism and racism can't just be selective to one person to another person. You're either black and we're all going through it, because the reality is a lot of us are not sharing these same experiences that some people are talking about. So why is that?
But let's not do that, because because some black people are able to fall through the cracks, so to speak. Doesn't mean that our people overall isn't being oppressed, that our people overall isn't facing racism. Like there are exceptions to every single rule, but let's not make the exception be perceived as the norm.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So because we had a black president, don't mean that there was no racism in this country. You get what I'm saying? Because we have athletes and scholars, and people in this country that have made millions and millions of dollars, don't mean that financially the wealth gap between black people and other people in this country isn't the size of the Mediterranean. And so I understand you say, well, we spend $1.6 trillion in this country. I heard you say that a couple of times on your streams. And so you're right. we are wasteful. We are a wasteful people when it comes to money. We spend our money on a bunch of ridiculous things, trying to floss and all of that type of stuff. But at the same time, man, it's like if you've grown up, and I'm speaking of our people overall, right? Okay, so you grow up and all you're eating is crackers every day, crackers. That's it. And you see all these other people, and they eating steak and they eating fish and they eating, great vegetables and all this other stuff, and you getting crackers. And then you come across a can of sardines, you come across a can of tuna fish, you come across a pack of ground meat. You're not saving it. You're not doing what you're supposed to do with it. You finna run through it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just gonna destroy it, not worrying about the fact that, hey man, if I eat this whole pack of tuna, I'm gonna be back to crackers tomorrow. That's not gonna matter to you because you're not used to having it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's ultimately us as a people overall when it comes to dealing with money, why we're so wasteful, why we're so irresponsible when it comes to it, because when we get a little bit of it, we're not saving it, we're not investing in it, we're not doing the right things that we should be doing with it. We running out and we giving it right back to the government.
Okay. So let me ask. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so it keeps us in this cycle of always being customers, of being consumers. Yeah, yep. It keeps us in that cycle. And part of that is because we weren't taught how to manage money, how
This
to
is
deal
true.
with money. I know I wasn't.
I
I
wasn't
wasn't
either.
taught how to deal with money, how to prioritize and save my money and all that type of stuff. I learned those things, when I was well in my 30s.
Let me ask you this. Whose responsibility is it to teach you that?
It should be our parents,
Okay.
and it should
And
be passed down from generation to generation.
right.
But when have we as a people had wealth in this country? Anytime that back in the day when we called ourselves trying to lift ourselves up by our bootstraps and that type of thing in this country, it was taken from us. Like, you cannot deny that and pretend like we were given the opportunities after slavery ended. Okay, after it ended, that we were allowed in this country to be able to build and to try and build wealth in this country where it could be passed down from generation to generation. There are countless examples of what happened in this country, and during that time. So our people does not have a history of being in the possession of money, of wealth, of land, to pass down and to teach the coming generations how to deal with it.
So I would say that's not entirely accurate. I will say though, what has happened, to your point, in reference to cities, there's been plenty of cities that they have intentionally destroyed, intentionally have put Black people in uncompromising positions because they didn't want us to acquire too much wealth. Absolutely, very true. You're right on that. Here's my pushback. Here's my pushback. When we say who's responsible for teaching us, it's us. It's all us. I think the problem in this country that we have as a community is that we believe that there's another group of people who should be responsible for us. You guys, I don't think we understand the situation of this country. This is a capitalist country. This is about competition, right? No one cares about 400 years ago. We're the only one that really cares. We're the only one that should care. I think we are asking people who are not of us or of our community to care more about our issues than us. I've said this before, right? We complain about the conditions. We complain about the unfair treatment. It's not their responsibility. It really isn't. It really isn't. We have an issue with the education system. We need to have our own schools. We have an issue with the medical field. We need to have our own hospitals. We have an issue with the food. We need to have our own farmers, you guys. Everybody else is doing it but us, right? This is a race between races. This is competition. We're the only ones who believe that we're not competing. We're competing against everybody in this country. Every group is competing against each other respectfully, right? We share resources. We share resources respectfully. You guys, we are creating and we are also providing so much financial resource to this country, to the people who are taking advantage of it, and we're not getting anything in return. We don't own anything, but we're spending everything and we own nothing. It doesn't work like that, right? We talk about building wealth. We're the number one spenders, the number one consumers. We don't want to build anything for ourselves. We don't want to support our own things. Listen, we have our own banks. We have our own colleges where we can teach and educate our own people. Our families are broken. Our communities are broken, right? We have people who have money. We have everything we need. We're not coming together. We don't practice group economics. The issue is we're not unified. We're not organized.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? So the oppression idea, listen, here's the reality. Systemic racism is a thought. It's a belief system. It's a belief. You can believe whatever you want to believe. If you're white, I don't really care. That's your personal prerogative. You can believe, if you want to be a unicorn pissing Skittles, that's your own personal idea. I don't care. It doesn't move me left or right. It doesn't matter. White supremacy is a belief. It's not real. It's not real. Perception.
So was Jim Crow real, or is that just a belief in our heads?
It's perception's reality. Listen, no white man is supreme over me. That's the reality.
Okay.
If you believe that, what am I going to tell you? What am I going to tell you? Right? God is supreme. Why do we keep speaking that over our community? We have power, you guys. We have power. We're not incompetent. We're a little bit lazy, right? We're a little materialistic. Yes. Let me tell you where the laziness comes in. We have the ability to do what we feel like doing. The things that we need to do, we're not doing. There's a difference. There's a difference. Are we willing to make the sacrifice? No, we work hard for the things that we want. Listen,
but see, I'm confused. I think that sounds like ignorance, not laziness. That
I wouldn't say ignorance. I wouldn't
be ignorant to the things that we need to do and how we need to do them.
No,
that is not lazy. We built this country. We are not a lazy people.
No. We didn't build this. Our ancestors built it.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Black people.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Ignorant, no, because ignorance is just simply no knowledge, not knowing. We know what to do. Stop making. We have to stop making all these excuses. We know what to do. Do we not know? Right? We have people in our community that will spend money at the club and on expensive clothes before we invest our money in things that are relative, that are necessary.
That's ignorance, Nathan.
Okay, all right. I get that, brother. I get that. Okay, I get that. I get that.
I can guarantee you. That 90% of Black America don't know what to invest in, how to invest it, know nothing about real estate, know nothing about the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Our people have an ignorance to those things. We're not lazy.
Okay,
I reject that. We are not lazy.
All right, I'll give you that.
Ignorant and what we need to do, how we need to do it. Yes. And some things we just downright, something else for how we treat each other within our own community. I'm not gonna say that on
all right. Then let's say the culture. Let's say we need to re-examine Black culture, redefine what it means to be Black. Right. We need to have better values when it comes to respecting one another. Right. Respecting our women, men respecting men, men respecting women, women respecting men. Right.
No doubt.
Because again, the reality is we can't have any of this if we don't have family. Right. The family structure has been broken. Right. We have a gender war for whatever reason in our community. Right. And so again, it's hard for us to build wealth, educate, raise children, put productive people in society, in our communities when our families aren't together, right? So my thing is there's a culture problem, right? The music that we put out, we shouldn't even allow it. It should have no play. The movies, the entertainment that we consume, that stuff is messing up our youth. It's destroying our youth. I see it. I have 14-year-olds waving guns around in music videos. I have 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds talking about murder, talking about selling drugs. How do we allow?
That's the country. That's based on the country that we in. This is a violent country. It has always been.
Nothing to do. See, but we are not the country though.
We're here. We're surrounded by it. So I don't believe that the music. I reject that the music influences people to do stuff.
Now this is the pushback.
I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up.
How long ago though? How long? The ghetto back then is not the ghetto now, sir.
It was worse back then than it is now. I grew up at the height of the blood and Crip issue.
Okay, and here's the problem with that. And let me tell you what the problem is. Because I work the streets. I used to live in California. I know about gangs. The problem is we have kids, right, coming from middle-class homes that want to be gang members. We have kids from middle-class homes that want to be drug dealers. The problem is the pretending is what's killing these kids. They want to emulate what they see on television. They want to emulate what they see on video games. I'm telling you this because I know it. These are people I put in jail. I have kids I arrested at 15 that are in prison for life for murder.
Okay, so this is my question. So if you're going to tell us that our music, what's in our music should not be put out, are you going to have that same energy that the violent movies that come out shouldn't also be out?
Yes, here's my take. It's not about the violent movies. It's about the representation. It's the representation. What did Bobby Shmurda do before he got his record deal? He's dancing on top of a conference table surrounded by all white people in the record label. He's talking about going to another man's house and shooting his mother. He's talking about selling drugs in his own community. They signed him on the dot, you guys. He got the job. This is the problem. It's about representation. You have people in this country where you can't even misrepresent their history without losing your job, without getting suspended for 10 days. Right? Where's the accountability from our own people to correct the foolishness in our own communities? It's not okay. It's not okay to make music about murdering one another. Why? Because words have power. Words have power. I'm saying this to you because, see, me growing up, I listened to Wu-Tang, right? I listen to Outkast. I'm listening to these guys. The difference is growing up when you can separate entertainment from reality. I don't know what's going on with this generation. They're struggling. They're struggling.
So you don't think that this generation also can separate the music from reality?
A lot of them aren't doing a good job at it when you look at these murder rates.
Yeah, but that's lazy to put it on music.
I'm not putting it on music.
That it's the music in our community, or that they're releasing in our community.
It's not healthy. Let's agree on this.
What it is.
That's fine. Then let's agree on this. The music is not healthy.
Okay.
Let's agree on that. We don't care what the outcome is, but it's not healthy. And we're talking about how we need to repair and fix our image. All right. It's inappropriate for 14-year-old juveniles, right? Even young adults to be talking about murdering one another in the streets. There's no way possible you could tell me that that's psychologically, emotionally, and physically healthy for these kids to be consuming that. They're being indoctrinated by the music. Absolutely. When we have all of our popular shows, we are glorifying drug dealers in our community. Are we not?
In some communities, yeah, in some communities,
Listen, I gave you the ignorance. I gave you the ignorance. I gave you that. I came down on my little pedestal, gave you ignorance. Look, you got to give me that. Are we not?
Yeah. But it's also the reason why is because they put those drug dealers in movies. Frank Lucas had a movie about him.
Absolutely,
Snowfall is about a drug dealer. So why? That's why they are held in our community, because just like in you think people don't hail John Gotti and the Al Capone and those guys.
Name okay.
Mass murderers.
On one hand, name me. You see, here's the problem. I can name you every single popular drug show. This is what we like to watch. This is what we like to watch in our community. We do not like to watch things that promote positive entertainment, positive growth in our community. It doesn't get any attention. My channel is proof of that. I'm here trying to bring knowledge and insight to this profession. Listen, and you got other people talking about nonsense all the time. This is where we want to be. We want to talk about the bullshit, right? Here we are talking about how we could build and grow and change the direction of our community, and we get no support. But let me tell you about some drama, right? Our priorities, sir, you know it. It's not, there's no shame in admitting it. There's no shame in admitting it, right? The first part of recovery and change is admitting we have a problem, right? Our culture, our priorities are backwards. We're investing our energy into the wrong things. That's just the reality of it. It's no shame in it. I'm saying we need to fix it, right? Our rappers, I love rap music. Can you imagine? I listen to rap music all the time. I got to turn around and then handcuff these same people that I'm listening to, right? When I'm dealing with people, I'm dealing with criminals, and before they go and commit a crime, they put on a certain type of track. Oh, I had to listen to this to get into the mood, right? I'm watching their videos on social media right before they commit a crime, and the type of music they're listening to. Are you telling me that it doesn't have influence? It has power. It's deep. This stuff is spiritual, man. I'm not even gonna get into that piece, but it's deeper than that, right? It's deeper than that. Lyrics have power. Let me tell you why I say that. The word thug and the origins of that word, the meaning of that word. Where did it come from? It came from India, right? A lot of people don't know this, you guys. Pay attention. I'm gonna give you some knowledge real quick on the word thug that our people are glorifying and tattooing on their body. If you Google the word thug, Google the word gangster, you see Black and Hispanic faces, you guys. You don't see a bunch of white faces. The word thug is associated with Black people, Black and Hispanic. Where did the word come from? It came from India, you guys. The thugs were real people in India. They were a cult. They were a cult of murderers. They worshiped a goddess called Kali Ma. Look it up. Kali Ma was the goddess they worshiped. They killed for this goddess, right? They were master murderers, you guys. They called them thuggies. Thuggies. Look it up. How did this word now make all the way back to America? You see it populating California with gang members and music and rap culture. You start speaking these words.
Wait. So who labeled? Did we label ourselves thugs?
Does it matter? Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Does it matter?
It does matter.
No, because if we adopted and make it our own, right? Because why does it matter who labeled us? We kept the word. Just like we call ourselves niggas all day, right? We decide to keep that word and think we own it and get mad when someone else says it. How did the word thug that originated from mercenaries from a cult group in India thousands of years ago, how did that word turn up and become the image of blackface?
We did not label ourselves thugs. So when you say how did it get associated to us, that was done by other people.
True.
Other people associated us as thugs. Other people associated us as the N-word.
This is
because
true.
It does. Okay, so because it doesn't bother us for you to call me a thug and you don't know me, does not mean that I'm somehow what you think I am.
That's true.
So you can call me a thug. Look, now this word, as far as us putting it on our bodies, I believe got popularized by Mr. Tupac Shakur. I think he popularized the word and he made an acronym for it. And so people from that point decided to jump on that bandwagon.
Oh, hold on, right? You see what you just did? Tupac, a rapper, marketed the word thug life and popularized it amongst the Black people. The power of a rapper, the power of rap music. Do you see what I'm saying? The power of one man marketed thug. No one knows where the word came from. Promoting a cult of mercenary killers that worship a goddess. It's deep, man. This is what I'm saying. The power of our rappers, they have influence.
I didn't say that. I didn't say they had no influence. I said that rap music is not the thing that's causing murders, that we're not listening to rap music, Black people or listening to rap music and saying, you know what, that dude said he'll shoot somebody in the back of the head and throw him in the trunk. And I'm finna go do that. I don't know. I don't believe that.
You don't believe
I don't
that?
believe that. Now, I do believe, because listen, like I said, I grew up listening to NWA, Dope Man, F the Police, all that. I never want to shoot a cop.
Man, them lyrics back then are
I
different
be
now.
no big time drug dealer. We listen to them. We listen to the Ghetto Boys. We listen to Jay-Z talk about selling dope. We listen to all of that music back when I was growing up. It's not, there's nothing new under the sun.
True. But the way you were raised and what you experienced, the technology that was present, the amount of information that was afforded to you at that time, because you're an 80s baby, right?
I'm a 70s baby.
Oh shit. You old as hell. No, you good, but you good. You a 70s baby. You 70. When you say NWA, I said, oh, okay, all right. Nah, what the reality is, listen, times were different then. You were from a different era of thinking, right? You were raised differently. It was different then. I'm on the cuffs of being an 80s baby. So I'm right at the end of the 80s. And even I saw a difference. Even I can tell the difference now. The technology now and what these kids have access to now is it's a worlds apart of what we had growing up. I grew up with an Encyclopedia Britannica. I had the whole A through Z collection before we had a computer, right? It's different now, man. These kids, social media is different. You got criminals posting up their crime on social media, right? Amir Locke situation. You know what the Amir Locke case? His cousin committed the homicide allegedly, right?
Right.
You know what he did? They were actually Snapchatting themselves driving around in a stolen Mercedes that they actually committed the homicide in. They're driving around recording themselves in a stolen Maserati. The police knew who they were because they're taking pictures. They're 16 years old posing with guns. They're children with guns that I don't even have. Extendo clips, Dracos, AK-47s. You're 16. This isn't Baghdad, right? Make it make sense.
Yeah, well, you're right. The social media has changed everything.
Game.
Yeah, it's changed the game, and so now dudes are snitching on themselves instead of their friends snitching on them. You know, but back in the day, they had Uzis, you know, and AKs and all of that type of stuff. When it wasn't when assault rifles was banned, you know, and they still had them.
That's true.
Just saying, you know, there's not much new under the sun. And like I said, I don't want to say what it is as far as us, what we do to each other in our communities. Right. And look, I posted a comment before I came on that the issues you talk about in our community, you have not told a single lie. Everything that you say is the issue in our community is 100% facts. But I just disagree that, you know, this notion that we are not still an oppressed people.
Okay.
And you know, it's levels to it. It's levels to everything. I'm not saying we're slaves. I'm not saying we got to have a card on our chest to show who we are and where we going. I'm not saying that. It's not to the extreme, you know, but it's more, you know, subtle. It's more subtle. It's in the ways that, you know, we can't go into a bank and get, you know, a $70,000 loan, $100,000 loan to start a business without collateral.
So with that being said, we have our own banks. We have our own Black-owned banks that exist today. We have our own banks. Here's the problem. Who do you bank with?
Wells Fargo.
Why do you bank for them and not a Black-owned bank?
I haven't found a Black-owned bank in my community where I'm at.
Whose fault is that?
It's partially my fault. Now,
this brother right here, you might as well be Superman. And this truth I'm giving you is kryptonite. Here's the reality, right? Here's the reality. What would it look like if Black people just said, "Hey, you know what? let me get my money out of Wells Fargo. Let me get my money out of Bank of America and put my money in these Black-owned banks so that when it's time for me to get this loan to build my Black-owned business, I know that this Black-owned bank is going to show me preference because they know that we're here to build our community. What would that look like? You guys, we have the tools. We have all the resources. We're not using them. Do you know we have a Black-owned cell phone company? We don't use that. We have to beg our people to go to our own colleges. We have HBCUs and they're struggling funding. They don't have any funding. We make up 80% of the NFL players. 80% of the NBA players are Black. You mean to tell me not one of these Negroes own a team?
They're not finna let them own no team, man.
Then they need to stop playing.
But then how they gonna feed their families? How they gonna feed their kids and their grandkids?
And here's the problem. You guys want revelation with no. You guys want a whole revolution with no damn sacrifice. Yo, hold on.
I don't want a revolution. I don't want a revolution. I want for our people to be able to come together. Look, man, like I said, right. I agree with you. I agree with you when it comes to our community. I 100% do. I agree with you. And I do believe that the millionaires that we do have, the few that we do have in this country could probably do more to help out the community. But when you think about the millionaires within our community, within our ethnic group, is a speckle of sand on the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not enough of them to cure the ills or to move us strong enough in that direction to start to turn this community around. Quite honestly, it should not be on their backs.
Yes, correct.
You know, yes. It has to be all of us together, you know, rowing in the same direction. And unfortunately, that's not where we are. So
you're absolutely right. It's not on all of them. It takes all of us. And I would say this, that the biggest problem is the delayed gratification, right? We have to be willing to make the sacrifice, knowing that there might not be anything immediate in return. And so, again, what did Martin do? A whole 365 days for the bus boycott, right? We can't even do a Black Friday blackout. Am I lying? Hey, ask any of these brothers to boycott a Jordan tennis shoes for a year and see what happens to you. Right? What do? I'm working murders because people are taking Jordan tennis shoes. We're killing over tennis shoes. Right? Again, the mentality is the problem, not the resources, not the oppression. I do agree with you. I'll give you that. There's layers to this, right? Let's agree on that. I think we can agree on there's layers to this thing, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no, we here, brother. We here. There's layers to it. But what's the reality, though? The reality is systemic racism, right? Nothing's wrong with the system. The problem is the people who are operating in it. You have to put yourself in position of power to make change. We're not present anywhere where it's relevant. There's not enough of us, right? I said it before, 5% of us in this whole entire country, 5% of us are attorneys. Out of all the attorneys in the country, only 5% are African American. Only 12% of us are Black police officers. Out of 700,000 police officers, 12% are Black. There's not enough of us where we can make impact. What is the reality at the end of the day? Whether you believe in white supremacy or not, whether you believe in oppression or not, all of those things fall victim. They fall at the feet of Black unity. So without Black unity, all this stuff is irrelevant. So it's going to make it all look real. All these things look very real in the eyes of a divided group of people. But see, I know we're better than that. I know the truth. So when I see these things, I laugh at it, right? Because again, they all fall at the feet of Black unity. And that's what's missing. That solves the problem, you guys. That solves the entire problem. We come together and this shit's irrelevant. Because when you have your own, you employ your own.
Right on.
Right?
All right, man. I gotta go get up out of here, man. Get on this clock, man.
Go
doing
get back to working for the white man while you over here talking all this trash.
Hey, salute, Nathan, man. Keep doing what
brother.
you're doing, bro.
I appreciate you, brother. Anytime, come back, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, homie. Have a good one, man.
You too, brother.
All right. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love you guys, man. I love you guys. Listen, we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it real. Shout out to the big homie. I had to shout out to the big homie Disruptive Minds, you guys. When he's working on his channel, he is a comedian. He's hilarious. He's not a comedian, but he's funny. He's starting this channel. It's gonna be off the chain, you guys. Disruptive Minds. Cognitive dissonance, you guys. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I love the conversation, you guys. Listen, I'm gonna be off an hour ago. We're talking about Lioness of Ahaya. I love her too, you guys. She's amazing. She be pushing back. She be giving me some good pushback. But she's amazing. Lioness, I thank you so much. Because at the end of the day, you guys, we're all passionate. We just want the best, right? We want the best. This whole conversation started because of not, unequitable treatment. You guys, I'm here to tell you that the criminal justice problem is just not a Black problem. It's an American problem. Okay. So people with money have privilege. People who have status have privilege. Some people's profession, they have privilege, you guys. And sometimes people slip through the cracks and they get opportunities that we don't always have. There's a lot of unfair. Justice is not all the way blind like it's supposed to be, right? That chick got her eye open up under that thing, right? She ain't as Ray Charles as we think she is. We've seen this, right? But white people have bad outcomes too. They have the same problems, you guys, but we have specific issues in our community that need to be addressed. And we don't really care about what other people are doing right now, right? We want to fix this. We want to make sure that it's equitable for everybody, especially us. We've had the bat and the stick in this country for forever, right? Since the beginning. But you guys, we're not oppressed because everything we need, all the tools that we have are available for us to do what we need to do to better ourselves. We got to let go. One would argue that we are addicted to the idea of white supremacy. We're addicted to it. So I'm good without your prayers, Munchie. Y'all leave Antoine alone, man. Fast Family Affair. He's the new homie right there. He's the new homie. I appreciate him coming up and having a conversation. I really do, because a lot of people don't like to come up and talk. It's all love, you guys. It's all love. I know I might have a little bit of radical thinking. When it comes to certain things, I know I have a little bit of radical thinking. But to be honest, I'm very proud of our people. I'm very proud of us. I know what we're capable of doing. It's like people say when you're dating somebody with potential, I'm like, don't date potential, right? Man, I see our potential, you guys. So that's why when I hear stuff like we're oppressed, I'm like, man, oppressed? Bro, we got it, man. We got this, you guys. We got this. We got this. We just got to change our mindset. What did Bob Marley say? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Yep. What did Marcus Garvey say? He said, we're great before we can be great again, you guys. That's the moral of the story. That's the moral of the story. What ends up happening is that, everybody likes to say, oh, we built Black Wall Street. They tore it down, you guys. What else can we do? What else can we do? We do it again. We do it better. We build back better, right? That's what y'all voted for. We do it again, you guys. Marcus Garvey said it. We've been great before. We can be great again. And that's the message that we have to start pushing. Because when you come with this, I'm oppressed, you're saying that no matter what I do, there's no success. I can't overcome this. No matter how hard I try, I can't do better. Why? Because there's this lingering force over our community that's causing us to fail. It's not true. Pull your money out, see what happens. Walk that extra mile, drive that extra 10 minutes, see what happens. The problem is, you guys, when I say we're lazy, I didn't mean that in an insulting way. He said ignorant. I gave him that. We're not willing to put in the work. It's work. Power no one's gonna give you power. You gotta work for it. Take it back.